So, Brian, let's kick this thing off and let's start talking about the two guys that are returning to start with, and we'll start with Clarence Lewis. And I want to start this conversation with a question. We had talked about the fact that missing spring was so important to this young group, and that includes Clarence Lewis. So the fact that he was able to get on the field and do what he was able to do as a true freshman without a spring. What does that say to you about Clarence Lewis and what he was able to do in the fall?
He's a football player. He's smart. I mean, athletically, he's not an elite athlete, so he wasn't a guy that came in and, a lot of times, Vince, you'll see these freshman corners that play because they're just like freaky athletes. So they're either like super long or just really athletic. Well, he's none of those things. He's pretty long, but he's, 5'11" and a half with long arms, not 6'2" with long arms. Good athlete. Again, everything about him is good. Nothing about him is great, except his mental toughness and his confidence. He plays like a guy that it's like the way he plays, he's one of those guys that thinks he's way better than he is. And you kind of want that at corner.
To a point. Yeah, I agree.
Guys like that, because here's the thing. He's a Jersey kid. He's tough. He's gritty. Yeah. He's going to work. All those things are a part of that, right? But when you have that package in a guy that thinks he's better, it's good because those guys don't lose confidence. You get beat, you got lucky or whatever the case may be. They're not going to become shells. Like he had a terrible play early in the Alabama game where he just got beat in space by Devontae Smith. I think it was the first touchdown pass. But you watch him play, even though he didn't play a great game, he never played without confidence.
Yeah.
And that's something that can, young corners, you're out there on an island. Millions of people just watch you get juked. And it didn't seem to bother him. It bothered him from the standpoint of like, darn it, I messed up. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get.
He didn't like crawl into a shell and quit, Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he's an instinctive football player. And you could really see it in high school on offense. He played offense in high school. And he was a really good wide receiver. He was actually, I believe, an all-league wide receiver. And I really like those two-way players because I feel like those guys understand what receivers are trying to do to them because they tried to do it to defensive backs themselves. And that's why I really I know in this era of specialization, I still love those two-way players. That's why I love guys like Prince Colley and Lorenzo Styles and Ryan Barnes played offense in high school. There's a lot of these guys that were two-way players. I love two-way players on either side of the ball.
Sure.
And Clarence Lewis was a two-way player, and I think that helped him as well. So, he's a guy that I also thought that physically was a little bit more ready to play, a little stronger, a little bit more physical than some of those other guys, and just a natural football player. And it's a good foundation to build upon. I mean, that's the thing is if he can kind of take that confidence, but then also be hungry, and really want to take his game to that next level. Because again, generally speaking, with young players that have early success, there's always that concern of do they become complacent?
Sure.
That's a concern with every young player that breaks out. It's not specific to Clarence Lewis. You're going to find out this spring whether or not he's got that hunger of, it's kind of like, are you happy to be on the first team defense? Are you going to go, bang your head through a car window because you're just a starter? Remember the program? Or are you someone who says, okay, I'm starting now. Yeah, exactly. Or hey, you know what? I'm starting now, but that's not my goal. My goal is to go win a championship. My goal is to be the best cornerback in the country.
Sure.
Right. And so that's what we're going to find out from Clarence Lewis is how hungry is he to, his focus shouldn't be on keeping a starting job. His focus is going to be on the next time I get matched up with a Devontae Smith type player, I'm going to shut him down. And what do I got to do to get there? And if he can do that, then he's going to take a big jump and cement himself as a regular in this rotation. He's going to need to do it because there's a lot of talent left at that position that's going to push him this spring.